There seems to be an unprecedented amount of people out there right now that are hearing this crunch. And I'm going to focus this video primarily on just that alone. The word crunch. It's really one of the terms that I hear out there, and I experienced it myself too, and I didn't understand what was going on. I had that crunch of a sound for about 3 years, and it's an eerie sound because it's like something is being damaged. Something is just falling apart. And anytime you hear a crunch, even if you're in a car or as a parent from another room or inside your head or near your ears, you're gonna just feel timid. You're gonna feel weird and uncomfortable. Well, I want to tell you, all of you out there, that that crunch sounds worse than it really is. It really does. When I would walk around, going back to when I started hearing this crunching sound, I didn't understand what was happening. I thought like my jaw was crumbling, my tooth was crumbling, my ears were crumbling. Something was crumbling every time I would turn around or I would say something like very abruptly. I would hear this crunching sound and I would kind of look around at everyone else's reaction to see, okay, did anybody else hear that but me? Because that was pretty loud. You're going to hear this crunching sound in your ear, and it's going to sound worse than it really is. It's going to sound as louder than it really is. And you're going to think that everyone's looking at you. You're going to feel like a garbage truck just ran over a steel garbage can with that sound. I mean, it's a really uncomfortable feeling. For those of you that are watching this video, only you can know what I'm talking about. For those that are just accidentally clicked on my video and you hear me talking, you're probably like, what kind of video game is this guy playing? Like, what kind of video is he watching? It is a very uncomfortable, unforeseen, hard to explain sound where it feels like bones are crumbling in your ear. And I want all of you to know to not panic because it's hard to say the word crunch and not panic. It's just hard to put it into a sentence, really. When you hear that sound and then you tell someone don't panic, it's hard. It's hard for them to even grasp how not to do that. But I'm going to tell you again, I'm going to emphasize a little bit here. That sound is far worse than the damage actually being done. Now, does that mean ignore it and move on with life and don't, take everything lightly? Well, no, not really. You don't want. But what I mean primarily is that crunching sound is not something that I want a lot of you to be alarmed by. It can be stemming from the jaw. And in fact, most of the time it is stemming from the jaw. A lot of you deal with something called mastoid air cells, where there's air cells, air pockets building around the mastoid process and the joints near the TMJ joint too. You could have some fluid build up in the eustachian tube, which also adds a little bit of cushion in that area of fluid. And sometimes when you start to get a drainage of that fluid in the ear, you start to feel that shift. And sometimes those joints can start to rub a little bit to each other. They start to rub against each other and you hear that crunching sound. And I'm going to tell you right now, it sounds worse than it actually is most of the time. I want to say, of course, those are rare occurrences of sometimes where you hear about people needing jaw surgery and things like that. But I just want to say, if you have your general case of ETD and tinnitus, most of the time, you're not doing any irreplaceable damage or things like that. It's really your joints kind of shifting. And some of the times what you need to do on that is you really do need to focus on reducing inflammation. That's going to be very key of making sure that you stop getting this reoccurrence. I had never had any jaw surgery. I've never had jaw surgery. I've never had ear tubes placed. I've never had any of that stuff done. I would hear that crunching sound just turning my head sometimes. A lot of us forget that a lot of our health, when it comes to our jaw health, our neck health, is all going to reside on something called posture. And if we can fix our posture, we can be aware of our posture. That's really the key, is being aware. It's not something that you can just fix overnight. That's what makes it very challenging to get over this, is that you really need to take time to be aware of your posture, because it's one of those things, it's kind of like a snowball effect. It's not going to just happen like that. It's going to, each day you get a little bit better at it. You get a little bit stronger. Your core, you engage your core more because you're aware that if I slouch, my core isn't engaged. Therefore, everything else kind of falls forward and you get that forehead posture. And that can put strain on the neck, put strain on the jaw, therefore increases the sensation of the crunching sounds, the clicking sounds, But the crunching sounds is one of those sounds that makes people just eerie inside. It just you feel this case of anxiety, this panic. You just like, for me, it's like you're doing damage, and it's like, how do I stop it now? That felt like that when you hear that sound, you feel like it's over. Like whatever that was, whatever was whole, it's now a bunch of pieces now. That's what it sounds like. And I want all of you to know that again, it's really your jaw shifting most of the time, and you do want to do a lot of things. There's some things that you can do slowly, gradually. Of course, one thing you can do is you can keep massaging the masseter muscle. Always say that. You can work the jaw out, shift the jaw around. Our jaw needs to be moved too, other than just when we eat. We do need to exercise, massaging this region here of the TMJ, near the TMJ joint, just doing some light massaging. But the biggest thing outside of everything that you ever can remember, ever can think about, is poor posture. That is really what's going to cause it. That's really what's going to keep it around longer. If we can work on the posture, you can work on keeping your shoulders up, keeping your chin up, not going down this way. A lot of you see these little humps on sometimes you see people with these humps on their neck. Those are dowager's humps. A lot of times from looking down, being in poor posture, calcification buildup, things like that. You want to be sure to be aware of that. Again, it sounds too good to be true, but when I really stopped slouching so often, I realized that clicking sound just went away. Doing the red light therapy, keeping the inflammation down, hydrating, as I always state, these are just very basic things, but to collectively are very super power, super like when you do them all together, you're going to find some great results. But again, I just want to say for the fifth time, fourth time, the crunching sounds, please do not let it panic you. Do not let it make you think that whatever you just destroyed is not going to come back together again. It sounds, again, I'll say it again, it sounds worse than it really is. Your ear is right there. So you're going to hear every little thing that happens in your jaw. So just remember, work on your jaw, get your jaw checked out, see a dentist, make sure your jaw is at least aligned correctly. Sometimes they'll work on it a little bit, they'll adjust it for you. If not, then again, start looking at things like posture, look at how you sleep. You do want a pillow that's going to be adequate enough to sleep. You don't want a pillow that's going to have you too far in or too far out. These are just basic things. And so do this over time. Give yourself a good month to just struggle a little bit and figure it all out. Get a little information from me and others that you've found that have been very helpful, and take on that month of being very intentional about trying to fix all of these and correct these things. And I guarantee that crunching sound, that horrible sensation of a sound will start to go away. So I hope this video was very helpful for you. If it was, please take time to subscribe to the channel. I try to bring content as often as possible. But in the meantime, I'm going to step out of the J1 in the studio and leave you in good hands with this video. Like anything else, folks, we're here to simply go back to the basics. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you on the next video.